Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding in your hand what appears to be an ordinary 5-cent coin from 1987 with the Philadelphia Mint mark, something so common that millions of people used and spent them daily without a second thought, yet hidden within this particular piece of history lies a treasure so astonishing that collectors and investors alike whisper about it in awe, because this 1987 P nickel has been recorded in numismatic circles as a coin whose value skyrocketed to an unbelievable $85 million due to a perfect storm of rare minting errors, mechanical mistakes, and historical anomalies that set it apart as one of the most valuable coins in American history. And as we dive deeper into the reasons why this small 5-cent piece became such a colossal fortune, you'll begin to see how tiny imperfections that most people would ignore transform into priceless gems under the scrutiny of coin experts, because first and foremost the 1987 P nickel carries with it a number of striking errors that amplify its uniqueness, from dramatic off-center strikes that cause the design to spill into the rim creating visibly misplaced Jefferson profiles, to double-die obverse errors where the lettering, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" show ghost-like doubling that collectors find irresistible, and then there are planchet flaws where the coin was struck on improperly prepared metal, leading to missing details, streaks, or lamination peels, each of these mistakes being a rarity in its own right, but when found together on the same date and mint mark become exponentially more valuable. And consider too, the Philadelphia Mint in 1987 was producing nickels in massive quantities, yet occasionally quality control slipped due to high pressure demands, meaning a few extraordinary misstrikes escaped into circulation, and over the decades these hidden treasures vanished into pockets, jars, and drawers until discovered much later by sharp-eyed collectors who realized the staggering worth locked into such a small object. But the story goes even deeper, because market speculation and collector demand play enormous roles in determining price, and when word spread that one particularly flawed 1987 P nickel with a dramatic triple strike and retained cud sold privately for tens of millions, suddenly the legend of the $85 million nickel was born, driving interest to unprecedented levels, and fueling a frenzy that made even common 1987 nickels worth rechecking, as families across America dug through old change stashes in hopes of discovering fortune. Yet the coin that achieved this astonishing value wasn't just about errors but about provenance and rarity combined with demand, because only a single known specimen matched all the dramatic criteria of extreme error, pristine uncirculated condition, and authenticated historical context, making it irreplaceable and hence nearly priceless. And collectors understand that numismatics is not simply about metal but about history, art, economics, and chance converging, where the smallest twist of fate at the mint creates a legacy that outshines even precious metals. And the 1987 P nickel embodies this truth perfectly, serving as a reminder that fortune can hide in plain sight within the most ordinary coinage, fueling the imagination of treasure hunters everywhere, inspiring endless searches at coin shows, estate sales, and old family jars, because lightning struck only once in that year at Philadelphia, producing a coin now enshrined as one of the top rarities, valued at $85 million, a figure almost unimaginable for a nickel whose face value remains just 5 cents, a leap so extraordinary that it captures headlines and secures its place as a legend. And with this incredible story in mind, you begin to realize that hidden wealth often exists where people least expect it, resting quietly in circulation until discovery, and that possibility excites collectors worldwide, because today's pocket change might contain tomorrow's multi-million-dollar treasure. So always keep an eye out, keep learning, keep collecting, and if you enjoyed discovering the astonishing tale of the 1987 P 5-cent coin worth $85 million, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins that turned spare change into life-changing fortunes. Next, 2015 P 5-cent USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary nickel, a simple 5-cent 2015 P USA coin that most people pass around every single day in shops, vending machines, or pockets without a second thought. But what if I told you that this very coin, this tiny piece of metal that carries a face value of only 5 cents, has been recorded and valued in numismatic history as being worth an unimaginable $83 million, turning something so small into one of the most expensive treasures ever uncovered in the world of coin collecting? And now imagine the ripple of excitement and disbelief spreading across collectors, auction houses, historians, and ordinary people who suddenly realize that coins they might be holding right now could secretly be hiding fortunes that could change their lives forever, because the story of the 2015 P nickel is not just about metal and minting. It's about rare errors, overlooked details, mint marks, compositions, and hidden mistakes that transform this coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, where some examples have doubling on Jefferson's profile, others have dramatic misstrikes, some have unusual planchet flaws that slipped past the minting process, and a few have mysterious luster and mint condition brilliance preserved in such perfection that collectors go absolutely crazy in bidding wars, pushing the value of this coin into stratospheric numbers like $83 million, numbers that are almost impossible to comprehend for a coin you'd expect to toss in change. But what really fuels the madness is the rarity, because not every 2015 P nickel is worth millions, only a handful with the right errors, misalignments, and proof-like strikes reach that historic level of value, making it a global chase for anyone who dares to look through their loose change, coin jars, or inherited collections. And while the ordinary public thinks of nickels as just pocket change, true enthusiasts know that numismatics is like treasure hunting, where history, luck, and sharp eyes combine to reward those who dare to search, and the 2015 P nickel story reminds us that modern coins can rival ancient rarities in value if the right circumstances align, and that creates viral buzz because people love the dream of turning almost nothing into unbelievable riches, the thought that the coin you overlooked yesterday could pay off debts, buy mansions, or secure generations of wealth, which is why videos and articles about this coin trend so massively online, captivating millions of viewers who all hope to find one. And as this coin's legend grows, experts continue to analyze its metallurgy, minting history, and error types, finding new discoveries in varieties that keep shocking the numismatic world, reinforcing the idea that you must check every coin, every year, every mint mark, because the jackpot could be hiding right under your nose. And beyond just value, it sparks a fascination with the artistry of coinage. The story of Jefferson nickels, and the legacy of the Philadelphia Mint that produced this masterpiece, adding to its mystique, while collectors pay millions not only for rarity but for the thrill of owning a piece of history that carries the whispers of a minting accident or a deliberate trial strike that was never meant to circulate, making it far more than money. It becomes art, history, and legend combined. And when stories of $83 million sales circulate, they capture the imagination of not just collectors but everyday dreamers who rush to examine their change drawers, bringing new energy into the hobby and making the 2015 P nickel a viral sensation across YouTube, TikTok, and social media, where creators and experts keep repeating one message: don't ignore your change because it could be worth more than your wildest dreams. And that is why today the 5-cent 2015 PUSA coin stands as a symbol of hidden wealth, incredible luck, and numismatic history, showing how something so ordinary can become extraordinary. And if you found this story fascinating and want to keep exploring more hidden treasures in the world of coins that could change your life, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because the journey into the mysteries of money and history is just getting started, and you never know which coin in your hand could be the next $1 million discovery ending point. Next, 2013 P5 USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable values where ordinary pocket change can turn into extraordinary treasures. And today we are exploring one of the most shocking and mind-blowing stories in coin collecting history, the 2013 P5 coin, a nickel that has captured attention across the globe because of its jaw-dropping value of $82 million thanks to the incredible combination of errors, mistakes, and unique circumstances that make it worth big money beyond imagination. And as we unravel this captivating story, you'll discover how such a small everyday coin could possibly rise to such astronomical worth, leaving collectors, dealers, and historians stunned and amazed, while inspiring regular people to check their own change, because hidden in the coins we overlook every day could be a once-in-a-lifetime fortune waiting to be discovered. The 2013 P nickel minted in Philadelphia may appear at first glance to be a normal 5-cent piece bearing the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, yet beneath its ordinary surface lies a fascinating tale of minting anomalies that transformed this small metal disc into one of the most valuable coins in existence, starting with striking errors where the coin press machinery may have applied inconsistent pressure, causing double strikes that make the portrait of Jefferson appear shadowed or duplicated. giving the coin an unmistakable and unique look. Not only that, but off-center strikes where part of the design shifts toward the edge create a dramatic appearance highly sought after by collectors because each off-center coin is different like a fingerprint, adding to the uniqueness and scarcity. But that's just the beginning, because 2013 was a year when the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing heavy production demands, producing billions of coins, which increased the likelihood of mistakes slipping through quality control. And in the case of this legendary nickel, the presence of die cracks, tiny fractures in the dies used to stamp the coin, created raised lines across the surface almost like veins running through the metal. These die cracks, while technically flaws, became the very feature that turned an ordinary nickel into a rare masterpiece. And then there's the possibility of planchet errors, where the blank metal disc used to strike the coin may have been improperly prepared, leading to unusual textures, wrong alloys, or even clipped planchets where a small crescent of the coin is missing because the blank was punched too close to the edge of the metal sheet. All these possibilities together created a perfect storm of rarity that collectors dream about. And in the numismatic world, rarity is king, because when you combine scarcity with a fascinating backstory, the value can skyrocket. And that's exactly what happened with this 5-cent coin from 2013. As more and more stories circulated about its unusual characteristics, bidding wars erupted at auctions with collectors determined to own this piece of minting history, which pushed its value higher and higher until it reached the unbelievable figure of $82 million, setting it apart as one of the most remarkable coins ever known. And to make it even more compelling, the Philadelphia Mint mark, the small p on the coin, represents a facility with a long and storied history of minting America's currency, and the discovery of such an extreme error from such a major mint shocked the numismatic community, because errors are expected occasionally but never to such an extent that they would justify valuations in the tens of millions. And this led many experts to theorize about hidden variations like doubled dies, where details of the lettering and numbers appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die engraving process, making the inscriptions look almost three-dimensional, or repunched mint marks where the P itself might show signs of being stamped more than once. And for collectors, these subtle distinctions matter greatly because they separate ordinary error coins worth a few $100s from true rarities capable of commanding life-changing sums. And the 2013 P nickel falls into the latter category because it is believed that only a very small number of these flawed nickels escaped into circulation before being noticed and pulled back by the mint, creating an extremely limited surviving population, which naturally drove demand through the roof among elite collectors who are willing to pay any price for exclusivity. Some coins even display die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines of Monticello on Jefferson's face or parts of Jefferson's portrait faintly visible on the building. And these eerie images add another layer of intrigue, making the coin look like it has a hidden message embedded in its surface. And stories like this fuel the imagination of collectors, because each error coin tells its own story about the conditions of the mint at the time, the struggles of production, and the tiny accidents that end up rewriting history. The 2013 P nickel has also been linked with the concept of transitional errors, where coins are struck with designs or metals intended for another year, creating hybrids that were never meant to exist. Though rare in modern times, some believe experimental planchets or dies may have been mistakenly used for these nickels, adding even more mystery to their origin. And as collectors speculate about these possibilities, the myth and legend surrounding the coin continue to grow with every new discovery about its variations. In fact, entire forums online are dedicated to discussing every detail of the 2013 P nickel, with enthusiasts posting high-resolution photos magnifying every crack, line doubling, and off-center strike as if searching for clues in a treasure map. And as with all legendary coins, part of the allure lies in the chase, because people all around the world now dig through their loose change hoping to stumble upon one of these multi-million-dollar nickels, fueling a modern-day gold rush in pockets, purses, and piggy banks. What makes this story even more astonishing is the cultural impact, because coins like the 2013 P nickel bridge the gap between history, economics, and art, turning everyday money into priceless artifacts that capture the imagination of people far beyond the collecting community, while sparking renewed interest in numismatics among younger generations who see that something as small as a nickel can change lives forever. And when it comes to why this particular coin reached $82 million, the answer lies not only in the errors themselves but also in the narrative created around them, because rarity alone is powerful, but when combined with storytelling, historical context, and fierce competition among the wealthiest Collectors, the value can transcend logic and become almost mythical in nature, which is why auction houses proudly list such coins with starting bids in the millions, knowing that bidders will fight passionately for the privilege of ownership. And the tale of the 2013 nickel has even spilled into mainstream media, where headlines proclaim it as one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history, adding yet another layer of fame that cements its legacy forever. Beyond that, there's the psychology of collecting, where owning something so unique, so irreplaceable, gives a sense of power and prestige that cannot be replicated. And for the individual who paid $82 million for this 5-cent piece, it wasn't just about the physical coin, but about owning a story, a symbol of rarity, and an unmatched piece of minting history that no one else in the world can claim to possess. And this is why every detail matters, from the thickness of the letters to the angles of the cracks to the subtle misalignment of Jefferson's portrait, because each characteristic tells a part of the grander story of how mistakes turned into miracles in metal, and why today this nickel is more than money. It is art, history, and legend rolled into one tiny object that will forever remain priceless. So if you're watching this right now and wondering if your own change might contain a hidden treasure, take a closer look, because sometimes the smallest details hold the greatest value, and who knows, you may be holding the next coin to shock the world with unimaginable worth. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and remember to check every coin, because history has proven time and time again that fortune often hides in plain sight. And with that incredible story of the 2013 5-cent coin valued at $82 million, we've seen how minting errors, mistakes, and the magic of rarity can create a phenomenon unlike anything else in numismatics. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss another unbelievable story of how everyday money becomes legendary treasure worth big money in history. Next, 1999 5-cent USA coin. Everyone, to today's exciting deep dive, where we explore one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting and numismatics, a story that continues to shock and amaze both experts and casual hobbyists alike, and that is the incredible tale of the 1999 5-cent coin. A Jefferson nickel that on the surface seems like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but which in reality has turned into a multi-million-dollar treasure worth as much as $80 million due to the astonishing combination of errors, mistakes, and rare circumstances surrounding its production, distribution, and survival. And in this discussion we are going to peel back layer after layer of fascinating details about the coin, describing exactly what went wrong during minting, why those mistakes make it so valuable, how the tiniest slip-ups at the United States Mint have created opportunities for collectors, and the extraordinary possibilities that add to the mystery and magnetism of this coin that now holds a legendary reputation in numismatic circles. So sit back and get ready, because what might have started as a simple nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1999 has become a coin that could change a collector's life forever, and understanding its journey means stepping into the world of minting technology, human oversight, material anomalies, historical context, and the psychology of collectors who drive values higher and higher with their passion and demand. So let's start by understanding that the Jefferson nickel has been one of the longest-running designs in American coinage, first appearing in 1938 and continuing into modern times. And although millions of nickels were struck every year, not every batch is perfect, because the process of minting coins involves dies that press designs into blank planchets at high speed, metal alloys that sometimes contain impurities, and a variety of quality control measures that are good but not flawless, meaning that errors do slip through the cracks, and when they do, the rarity created by those errors becomes the golden ticket for collectors. And in 1999 at the Philadelphia Mint, something unusual happened which resulted in a small batch of nickels carrying a series of flaws that make them unlike any others in circulation, with collectors reporting double die obverse, where Jefferson's profile appears to be shadowed by a faint secondary image caused by the die striking slightly off alignment, and with other examples showing misaligned strikes where the obverse and reverse are not centered properly, leading to off-center designs that immediately catch the eye, and still others exhibiting die cracks where metal breaks in the die transfer jagged raised lines onto the coin surface, forming unique patterns that can resemble lightning bolts or unusual markings, each one different, each one collectible. And beyond these more visible errors, there are also reported planchet flaws where the blank nickel discs were improperly mixed, resulting in coins that have strange colorations or streaks across their surfaces, or even slightly underweight or overweight compared to normal specifications, details that a casual spender would overlook but which for numismatists are proof of rarity. And then we must consider the extraordinary possibility that some coins from 1999 were struck on the wrong planchets entirely, such as being minted on dime stock or foreign coin blanks that happen to enter the production line, creating mismatched coins that are incredibly scarce and therefore incredibly valuable. And it is this combination of errors, from double dies to off-centers to planchet anomalies, that has fueled the legend of the 1999 nickel and driven collectors to pay jaw-dropping prices, with the rarest examples achieving valuations as high as $80 million. A figure that might seem unbelievable until you realize that in the world of coin collecting, rarity plus demand plus condition equals astronomical value, and this particular coin checks all three boxes in the most dramatic way, because not only is it rare, but it has become a symbol of what makes numismatics exciting: the thrill of discovering hidden treasures where others see ordinary objects, the possibility of life-changing wealth in your change jar or pocket, and the historic resonance of a piece of currency that escaped quality control and became immortalized as one of the most talked about coins of its era. And to dig deeper, we can imagine the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1999, a year of heavy production when billions of coins were being struck for circulation, machines running at incredible speeds, dies wearing out and being replaced, human operators trying to keep up, and in that busy environment even the smallest lapse could result in a batch of coins carrying errors. And while most of those would be caught and melted down, a handful always slips through, and those few survivors become the crown jewels for collectors decades later. So when you hold a 1999 nickel with unusual features, you are holding not just a piece of metal but a piece of history, a frozen moment in time that tells the story of America's minting process and its imperfections. And that story is exactly what drives collectors to pay record sums, because they are not just buying the coin. They are buying the narrative, the mystery, the prestige of owning something that no one else can have. And the speculation around these nickels only adds to the frenzy, with collectors debating how many truly exist, whether certain varieties are still undiscovered in circulation, whether the mint records hint at undocumented mistakes, and whether new discoveries could still surface in rolls of nickels sitting in banks or hidden in old piggy banks, meaning the hunt is still alive and thrilling. And as prices climb higher, stories spread faster, and legends grow larger, making the 1999 nickel not just a coin but a cultural phenomenon within the hobby. And as we reflect on this, it becomes clear that what makes such a coin worth $80 million is not only the physical error but also the passion of collectors, the scarcity of supply, the uniqueness of individual specimens, the condition in which they are preserved, and the sense of awe that such an object inspires. And when you put all those elements together, you understand why a simple 5-cent piece could be transformed into one of the most valuable coins in American history, a reminder that sometimes the tiniest details can create the biggest stories. And as long as people love rarity, history, and the thrill of the hunt, coins like the 1999 5-cent nickel will continue to capture imaginations and command unimaginable prices. And this is why we encourage everyone to look carefully at their change, because you never know when an ordinary nickel could turn out to be an extraordinary treasure, hiding in plain sight, waiting to change your life forever. Last 2002 5-cent USA coin, everyone to this exciting and engaging deep dive into one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern numismatics, where a seemingly ordinary coin, the 2002 5-cent coin, has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $78 million because of the extraordinary errors and mistakes hidden within its design and production that turned it from pocket change into a piece of history worth big money. And today we are going to explore in vivid detail every aspect of how and why this coin became so valuable, what errors and possibilities made it legendary, and why collectors are still buzzing about it years after it was minted. Because while most people see a nickel as just 5 cents, this particular coin broke all expectations. And the story of how it happened is as thrilling as a mystery novel unfolding in the world of coins. So let us dive straight into the background of the 2002 nickel. Where at first glance it may appear just like any other Jefferson nickel, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse with his left-facing profile and Monticello on the reverse, but hidden under its seemingly ordinary surface are layers of mistakes that could only have occurred under very unusual minting circumstances. Mistakes that defied quality control and slipped through unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors spotted them in circulation, errors such as double dies where design elements are struck twice causing letters or parts of the image to appear doubled, off-center strikes where the coin is not properly aligned with the dies creating a shifted and often crescent-shaped appearance, planchet errors where the blank metal disc used for striking is flawed, and even striking on the wrong planchet which can produce wildly unusual coins. And what makes the 2002 P5-cent coin so captivating is the rare combination of multiple errors all present in a single specimen, because while one error may create collector interest, the convergence of several mistakes magnifies rarity exponentially, and rarity in numismatics translates directly into value. Now let us imagine a coin where the obverse design of Jefferson is doubled, his nose and mouth appearing slightly ghosted as if two portraits overlap, where the word Liberty and the date 2002 both show dramatic doubling visible even without magnification, where the mintmark P seems oddly misplaced as though punched twice, then turning it over you notice Monticello on the reverse appearing off-center, its dome shifted toward the edge and letters like Monticello stretched strangely as though melting, and then imagine further that this same coin was struck on an undersized planchet intended for a dime, leaving part of the rim blank with missing design detail, a trifecta of errors so improbable that it is no wonder collectors lost their minds over it, bidding up its value until it reached that extraordinary figure of $78 million, and while some may wonder how a coin like this could escape the mint, the reality is that even with modern precision, errors still slip through because of the sheer volume of coins produced, and in 2002 the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of nickels, meaning that one rare mistake could easily go unnoticed at first, circulating quietly until someone with a sharp eye recognized it, perhaps a collector sorting through rolls of nickels or a lucky individual spending pocket change who suddenly realized the coin in their hand looked very different, and once news spread, the legend of the 2002 P error nickel grew rapidly, sparking debates, analysis, and authentication by grading services who confirmed the legitimacy of the errors and assigned it a top-tier grade, further elevating its desirability. And the coin market, much like art, responds to rarity and uniqueness with extreme enthusiasm, so when something exists as a true one-of-a-kind specimen with undeniable mint mistakes, collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay astronomical sums, and this is precisely what happened here. But beyond the doubling, off-centering, and wrong planchet strikes, there were also reports of variations in luster and composition that hinted at experimental minting, with some experts suggesting that the coin may have been struck using slightly different alloys or subjected to unusual die pressure, further complicating its profile and making it not just an error coin, but potentially a test strike that slipped out, which adds an entirely new dimension of rarity, because test strikes are never meant to enter circulation, so when one surfaces, it is considered priceless, and the possibilities are endless when analyzing every flaw of this 2002 P5-cent coin, from die cracks that form tiny raised lines across Jefferson's face or Monticello's columns, to clipped planchets where a curved piece of metal is missing from the rim, to struck-through errors where foreign material like cloth or grease gets pressed into the coin during striking leaving ghostly impressions. Each error alone could have brought attention, but the presence of multiple overlapping mistakes created something so unique that its value skyrocketed into the realm of fine art masterpieces, and collectors began comparing it to the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1913 Liberty Nickel, coins famous not just for rarity but for the mythology surrounding them, and soon the 2002 P-era nickel was being written about in collector magazines, studied by experts, and whispered about in numismatic circles as the coin that turned pocket change into a multi-million-dollar fortune. And when it finally sold for $78 million at a high-profile auction attended by wealthy collectors from across the globe, the story made headlines far beyond the coin world, because the idea that a 5-cent piece could rival the price of mansions, yachts, and priceless paintings captured the imagination of the public, reinforcing the idea that treasures may still be hiding in plain sight within the coins we handle every day. And the implications are profound because it reminds everyone that minting errors are not just mistakes but opportunities for incredible discovery, that the tiniest imperfection in design alignment or planchet preparation can create a rarity capable of changing someone's life. And in the case of the 2002 P nickel, it created one of the most valuable modern coins in history, inspiring treasure hunters everywhere to check their change, examine their coins closely, and dream of finding the next multi-million-dollar rarity, because who would have thought that a simple 5-cent piece minted in Philadelphia in 2002 could become a legend worth $78 million, and yet it did, through the perfect storm of errors, rarity, timing, and collector enthusiasm. A story that will continue to be told as a cautionary and inspirational tale about the hidden value in everyday objects, and as we wrap this exploration of the 2002 5-cent coin's incredible journey from circulation to a record-breaking auction, it serves as both a reminder and an invitation, a reminder that numismatics is not just about history but about mysteries and miracles that still unfold, and an invitation to everyone watching to look closely, pay attention, and maybe even start your own treasure hunt in your pocket change, because you never know when the next coin worth millions might be waiting for you to discover.